Greetings everyone, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to the channel. More importantly, welcome to this first video in my brand new series on point and click adventure games. Some of the classics from the 80s and 90s, the games that I grew up with. I originally conceived of this concept a couple months back and asked the community what they thought about this idea, and people ended up pitching in other games. So now I've got a list of about 15 point and click adventure games that I want to get through over the course of 2022. I was going to save this series for the new year, but I had some spare time last night. Chris was watching a movie, and I had already read a few chapters of a book, and I was still awake, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, I'm just going to go sink my teeth into one of these games and get a bunch of footage recorded. So I did that last night, and so you guys are getting a special episode here before the holidays, and this is the first episode in the series. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about a game from LucasArts called The Dig, which was conceptualized by Steven Spielberg, and there is a lot of working parts here, or there are a lot of working parts, I should say. We've got special effects from ILM, we've got professional Hollywood voice actors. We've got Steven Spielberg involved. We've got Orson Scott Card, a famous science fiction writer, involved. A lot of different things came together, making this one of the bigger productions in terms of point and click adventure games that came out of the 90s. And it paid off in spades as far as I'm concerned. I love this game. I think it's great. I haven't played it since it first came out. I have very fond memories of it. And getting back into it last night, a lot of the nostalgia was coming back, and I was like, yeah, this is just as good as I remember it being. So, we're going to dive into that. But before we do, for those of you who are new here, if you stumbled across this video for the first time or you just joined our Discord and you've never watched any of the other videos I've done before, cool. Do me a solid. If you do like what you see here today, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get updates for all the future content that I do, and don't forget to check out everything else that happens on my YouTube channel because there's a lot of things that I do here on YouTube: book reviews, show reviews, do a little bit of cooking from time to time with the Low Show Cooking in Real Life show. We do Star Wars: The Republic, Lord of the Rings Online, EverQuest 1, EverQuest 2, lots of different games, lots of different things. We do the Monday Musings, which is my personal blog space. Check it all out. Join the Discord if you'd like. And if you're a returning visitor, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. You guys have helped this channel grow immensely over the past year, so it's been pretty amazing to be along for that ride. So thanks, everybody. Let's dive into The Dig. So I'm going to open up the wiki now and kind of read a little bit as I go along, kind of give you guys some of the backstory, and then I'm going to dive into my personal take on things. So this was a game developed by LucasArts, which came out in 1995 in the Scum video game engine. And one of the things for me that I remember being blown away by when this game came out, obviously if you're playing it now, the graphics are definitely dated, but when this came out, it had a full voice cast, including actors Robert Patrick and Steve Blum, as well as a digital orchestral score, and the fact that this combined traditional 2D artwork with pre-rendered three-dimensional clips that were created by Industrial Lights and Magic. So if you were a nerd growing up in the 90s like I was, and you were like, oh my God, it's got Steven Spielberg, Indiana Jones, and all the other things that we love from him, and it's got ILM, which is George Lucas and Star Wars and all these other things. All of these elements coming together created this sort of level of hype around this game that was like, oh my God, this is going to be a magical experience. And it did not disappoint. It still doesn't disappoint. I would argue that having replayed it now for a little bit last night, I say a little bit, I played a few hours last night. Having replayed this now for the first time since it came out, I can say as an adult, even though the graphics are dated, obviously at this point in time, that sense of adventure and magic is definitely there. The writing here, obviously, this was a story by Steven Spielberg. The writing on this, it says Orson Scott Card, Brian Moriarty, and Steven Spielberg. If you look at the credits in the game, it actually says that dialogue was written from or written by Orson Scott Card. But it says here, writing is credited to Spielberg, author Orson Scott Card, who wrote the dialogue, with interactive fiction author Brian Moriarty, who had worked with LucasArts on Loom, etc. So this is something that combined a lot of different creative minds and a lot of different writers. Now, having played the original game many years ago and having fond memories of that, when I dove back into this, there was definitely the nostalgia kicking in. But then I was reading through some of the dialogue and I was like, okay, as good as the writing is and as good as the voice acting is, some of the dialogue is a little cheesy. So if I had to give it like a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it in there about a 7 or 8. Story is different than writing. The story of this game is freaking amazing. The dialogue can be a little cheesy at times, but it's a video game, so I kind of can afford to give it a little bit of slack at this point. But overall, the writing is great. The storytelling is amazing. I mean, this is an amazing story game. The one element of this game that the critics complain about, and I can say this too because as an adult replaying this game, some of the puzzles can be a little overly challenging. And I did find myself last night, there was a puzzle in the first couple hours of the game, um, when you're on the planet, and I spent 20 minutes banging my head against the wall and finally was like, screw this, and I went and looked up a tutorial and was like, you know what, I played this 25 years ago or whatever. I don't need to be suffering like this to make a YouTube video, so I'm just gonna go look this up. Story. Let's talk story for a minute, because I think that's going to be the biggest part of this video here for everybody, and I'm not going to spoil everything for you. I'm going to kind of walk you through things up to a certain point, but then I want to leave you with a cliffhanger because I want you to go play this game. You can find it on GOG. It's not expensive at all. I mean, most of these point and click adventure games you can get for a few dollars. I just picked up during the winter sale. I got like, I don't know, 9 or 10 games for like $14, I think. So I mean, it's really inexpensive to get these games. They are running on a DOS emulator package, which is all built in, so you don't have to do any installation or anything like that. It's just buy the game, download it, and it'll run for you. Um, so let's talk story for a minute. So the dig picks up with it starts off with um, a guy, kind of like if you remember how I think it was the first Men in Black movie starts out this way, or maybe it's Independence Day. I forget which one. Anyway, it starts off though. There's a scientist in his lab. He's talking on the phone and he's watching his computer screens, and it starts picking up an asteroid tracking towards Earth. And so that starts this frantic race against time because they realized, oh my God, this asteroid's going to hit Earth. We have to do something about it. And the governments of the world convene and they decide to send astronauts into space to put nuclear charges on this asteroid to stop it, maybe blow it out of orbit, create a new moon, things of that nature. Maybe sounds a little like Armageddon, perhaps. Another great film, although some people would say that it's not a great film. I think it's a great film. I think it's a fun film. Maybe not a great film. It's a fun film. It's a popcorn film. Anyway, and then it goes to a press release, and you're introduced to the team of astronauts who will be going up to the asteroid to deal with that. You playing the part of multiple people, and this is something that this is a little different for this game because when you're first introduced to it, you're playing the main individual of this team, who is the captain of the vessel. And when you get up into space, you're playing this commander, Boston Lowe, who's voiced by Robert Patrick. And you're guiding the astronauts as you go around the asteroid and plant the charges and do this stuff. And then as you go to explore the interior of this asteroid, you come to find out that, oh, there's metal plates here and it looks like some remnants of civilization or something. You get deeper into the asteroid and you trigger some things, and ends up that the asteroid is not an asteroid, but in fact a type of spaceship, which then transports you to another planet. At which point you realize you end up in this other world, and as you start to explore this other world, you realize that it seems devoid of life, but there are signs of intelligent life anywhere. There's the ruins of a spaceship. There's an underground area where you go to explore, and you can find these chambers and all these different rooms, and you're starting to find remnants of a past civilization. So it's sort of a combination of xenoarchaeology to learn how this technology works, as was to discover the fate of the alien race that built it, along with trying to find out how to get back home. And this is where things get a little weird in this game because very early on in the game, after you get to this alien planet, they split the party up. And so suddenly you're dealing with multiple characters who you need to talk to on the radio and so on and so forth to figure out different puzzles and to progress throughout the game. So to say that this is a complex game would be an understatement. There's a lot going on here. So this comes back to how the storytelling and the writing of this game is top notch. The fact that they managed to pull off a fully voiced game in 1995 is nothing short of just amazing. Because here we're in 2021 and we don't get fully voiced games from more than a handful of companies. There are still a ton of games that get released in 2021, nearly 30 years later, right? Yeah, nearly 30 years later, 26 years on, we still don't have fully voiced games coming out from even AAA studios don't always do fully voiced games. So for 1995, this was a mind-blowing thing. And when you start to pull this all together with the different characters and all the different storylines going on, the different narratives, and figuring out what's going on, if you like adventure games and you like story and you want to play something that's going to pull you in and give you like a full-on movie experience, this is a go-to point and click classic in my mind. If I had to give this a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it way up there in like an 8 or maybe a 9. The only thing to take away from this for me is definitely some of the puzzles are a little either just I don't want to say they're over the top difficult, but they're just too obscure and they don't give you any hints. And so you're really having to bang your head against the wall to try to figure some of these things out. And as a 41-year-old adult, I don't have the time or the patience for that like I used to back in the day. So I definitely found myself going, I don't remember how this works. I'm going to go look it up online and just get past this part, which is fine in my mind because I'm here to do this as for an entertainment purpose. Um, Overall, I'm very satisfied with the playthrough that I've been going through. I have not finished the game yet. I do know where it goes because I do remember this. And I don't want to spoil the ending for all of you. So knowing that you start off on Earth, you go to an asteroid, it transports you to another planet, and from there you have to figure out the technology and uncover the mysteries of what happened to the previous alien race and discover those clues to help you get back home. That is a good enough point for me to say that's where you should go out and pick up this game and play it because I do think it's a point and click adventure game that's worth playing even in 2021. Yes, the graphics are old. If you can get past that, the storyline is amazing. The voice acting is fun. It is a great adventure game that's going to pull you in and give you a solid amount of entertainment, especially considering you only have to pay a few dollars for it now through like GOG. I don't know if it's available anywhere else, but that's where I picked it up. So hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below. Have you played this game? Do you have any recollections of this game? Do you have questions about this game? Drop those down in the commentary below. Of course, don't forget to like this video if you liked what you heard and saw today. And of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you don't so that you don't miss any of the future content in the point and click adventure game series, as well as the other things that are coming down the pipeline here on YouTube. Don't forget to join us in Discord. Stay safe, everybody. And because we are getting up on the holidays, I will end this video by saying happy holidays to everyone. I hope you're going to have a good end of 2021. See you next time.